Feels like it's been a long time since the Rangers introduced their new manager, but it really hasn't. Just a couple of days. So we've got a lot of cleanup to do today about the Skip Schumaker press conference and the new era in Rangers baseball. It's coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Because he was hired as an heir apparent over a year ago. Maybe it was because he was named as the manager well over a week ago. I don't know. It just seems like we've been talking about Skip Schumaker for a long time, Jeff. But the reality is we've only had the chance to meet him or really get to know him as a manager for a few days now. And we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson, the Queen Cat is here. We're planning on being here Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock to talk all things Rangers and baseball, and there is a lot to talk about. It's one of those off seasons, Jeff, that like it's a long off season, right, when you don't make the playoffs. And yet I bet you to Skip Schumaker, it doesn't feel like it probably feels like, holy crap, it's already going by quickly.
Yeah, it's, what are we, October the 13th, so 2 weeks into the off season. Look, there are a bunch of guys who will be in far worse situations than Skip Schumaker. So many openings that still haven't even been filled yet.
Right.
And so they're going to be scrambling. And so I guess he does have a little head start, but it seems like he has a lot to do. And we saw in our little sit down that we had with him last week, he's energetic, ready to go. But he's also thoughtful and doesn't want to rush anything. So it's kind of like a dichotomy. Let's hurry up and wait.
Yeah, a little bit.
Type of thing.
Yeah,
but there is pressing business at hand, and coaching staff and getting to know the players. And the sooner that starts, the better. But then the other stuff, you can talk about it and let the guys know what your philosophies and all this stuff, but until you get to spring training and then to opening day, can't really put it in motion.
No.
And so there is going to be a lot of hurry up and wait, I think.
I think there is. It is, amazing though, because, and we'll get to the sort of the immediate priorities, which Jeff actually wrote about this weekend, and we'll talk about those coming up in the next segment. But when you look at sort of the big picture of this thing, as he did, and as any manager would in the introductory press conference, he said, we're going to be an elite defensive team next year. Mm-hmm. Well, they set a record for being the best defensive team in baseball history this year.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't they, right?
Right.
Of course they don't expect to or intend to take a step back there. They'll lose some of the arms off the pitching staff, but they had the best team ERA in all of baseball this year. So he said, we're going to be an elite pitching team again next year, which is very reasonable to expect when you start with Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. And then the offense, right? And everybody knows. And he said the guys he's talked to, nobody's happy. No, everybody knows what needs to happen. And to your point, Jeff, none of it can happen now. But what I like to look at and think about and hear from him are some of the ways in which he wants to see it happen. You look back at this team, they were built to slug.
Yeah.
And they were the fifth worst team in baseball, slugging percentage-wise. And then last offseason, they addressed this need to be able to hit the fastball better. And they were the fourth worst fastball hitting baseball team in baseball.
Yeah.
So obviously those are the two things you've got to fix. And I love the not only the way Skip talked, but if we look back at what he did in Miami, he did those things. He had young guys, and it was team batting, a team at bats and team, lineup and connectivity that CY talks about. And that's what has to happen with this group.
Yeah, the last offseason, Jake Berger was acquired and Jock Peterson was added to combat the struggles against the fastball, which had been a problem in 2024, really 2023 too, if we're being honest. And they didn't help it, because by injury or just a lack of underperformance. We're looking at you, Jock Peterson. Not that Jake Berger hit 300, but that was a massive failure. They asked Adolis Garcia to change his swing in the offseason, make some changes to make it shorter and faster. Didn't work. Marcus Semien wanted to get the ball in the air more.
Didn't work.
Didn't happen.
No.
The only guy who performed really was Corey Seager. He had an 865 OPS, I think, which for him isn't bad. I mean, for anybody, it's well above league average. But with the games he missed, he only played 103 games. He only hit the 20 home runs. Nobody was on base, it seemed, for when he batted. So who are you looking at here? You're kind of, who had a good offensive season? Well, Wyatt Langford had a good offensive season, 2020, and there's more potential there. Tougher with 2 strikes and things like that. Definitely a extension candidate, I would think, Kelly Mann, because it just makes too much financial sense for a team that always seems to have financial uncertainty for whatever reason here. It's obvious that they're the TV deal is probably hindering them
a little bit.
But the owner is still worth $3.5 billion.
Is it up to 3.5?
It's a big number. It's like, all right. It doesn't make a lot of sense, especially for people who work for the organization, who see Ray and they're like, hey man, let's spend some money here. But, a lot of teams, and Chris Young pointed this out, there are teams in the playoffs there were teams that made the postseason who spent a lot less than the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if they can do it, so can the Rangers. That's what Chris said. So I just don't know what you do offensively, but it starts with the mindset, which Skip talked a lot about. And he is a do what it takes, do what the game tells you to do type of guy. Probably got to go back to Ron Washington, honestly, for somebody who admits to that, because Jeff Bannister was kind of a numbers guy. That's kind of where it started to shift
here. Yeah.
But it's also kind of a baseball wide thing. It's like, I do this thing for Baseball America every summer. They do the, MLB tools, top 3 in several categories. And one of them is hit and run. Who's the best hit and run artist? And every year I ask that. And these guys, whether it's Bochy or Woodward or whoever, they're
Danny,
like, I don't know. And Ron Washington would be like, this guy, and this guy. So in the span of 10 years, or 11 years since Wash ended his reign with the Rangers, you just don't see the hit and run anymore.
No.
You don't, and especially in this league, and you don't see, in any league now with the universal DH, you don't see the bunts. You just, it's a lost skill. And I think that Skip Schumaker is going to bring some of that back. I don't know about hitting and running, but I think that aggression on the bases takes you back to Ron Washington and doing whatever the game asks you to do. And so I'm looking forward to that, but it is a major shift in philosophy, not just with the current Rangers roster, but really across baseball. You just don't see teams doing that.
Frankly, I miss the hit and run.
Yeah.
I do. And you're right. It's just like a thing of the past now. Thank you, Dean, for checking in from Australia. He's asking about the Rangers trimming their payroll, and Cody Bellinger and Pete Alonso and people of that ilk, I think, Dean, are pretty much out of the question at this point. And I think what we're looking at is a team that will, like the last 3 years, they've gone. We think they went over. This year, they were either just over or just under, but I think they were just over. And I think the mandate from above, from Ray Davis in this offseason, is that for next season, we will not go over, right? I don't think it matters if they're right there neck and neck for the best record in the American League at the trade deadline. I don't think they're going over. I don't think they're making a trade, Jeff, to go over that CBT next
year. Yeah, now without trading away his salary, I would think. I agree with you, and so that puts a big impetus on this offseason. How, got to get the right guys, and you got to get the depth. You just have to do it. I do like Bellinger in that he was a huge reverse splits guy this year. He batted .353 against left-handers.
Wow.
A left-handed hitter batting .353 against left-handers. That's pretty crazy right there. And, of course, the Rangers have struggled against left-handers in addition to the fastball. And so, but he's 30 and, he's been trying to get the big payday for a few years now.
Yeah, he has.
He wanted the 5-year he wanted a $200 million contract.
Who doesn't?
A few years ago. I do, too.
Yeah, I do, too.
Yeah. So he's going to be aiming high. His agent is Scott Boras. And, that's going to be tricky. But they've got to find some free agents. And that's kind of going to be the trick. You need versatile guys, high contact guys. If you're talking about right field and replacing Adolis Garcia, you need somebody also, to a Kelly Mann question, who has a big arm and can keep that position from being a significant defensive drop-off. And I don't know. Zeke does have a great arm, but I don't think Ezekiel Duran has a huge future in the organization. So I don't know. You got to go through and look and find the right fits, as they say, and not just going to be talent, yes, but it's also the makeup component and all that. And then you kind of wonder, too, and something definitely need to do is go back and look at guys who have played for Skip Schumaker.
Yes.
It's not like his
100%.
Marlins teams were loaded with all-stars, So it's not like, oh, hey, go get that guy. Well, who was that guy at the time in Miami? And I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think they had a guy. And that offense in 23, that made the playoffs, did not have a good offense. It was all pitching.
Right.
So, and that was his first year, and they were starting to show the signs, obviously making the postseason, and the front office turmoil and everything, and it just kind of fell apart in year 2. But he stated it the other day, whatever the game asks you to do, you're going to do it. So that's important. He's got to get that mindset drilled into these guys right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be a mindset, and even CY said it before the hire became official. He talked about it in sort of in regards to what Brett Boone was trying to accomplish, and in fact, he was, I think, throwing some bouquets Brett's way, saying since June 1st, our offense really wasn't that bad. The horrible numbers that this offense put up were basically called in April, the little part of March, and then April and May. But once Brett Boone got there, CY liked the way things trended in the offense. And so, but he said, even then, these guys were asked to do something that they didn't have a whole offseason and spring training time to train themselves and to work on all those things. So that's going to be a huge focus for all of them. No doubt it was a part of exit interviews, and no doubt now as Skip goes around and gets to know each of them on a more personal level, it'll be one of the things that he's talking to them about, because that is the future of this team. And look, I'm not mad at it. And Skip said the same thing. He's like, look, I don't mind mixing in a 3-run homer. That's one of my favorite things. And these guys can do that still. I think in some ways it's a chicken or the egg thing, but it's almost easier to do it when you're not trying, right?
Yeah.
And it seemed like every time these guys came up there, they were trying so hard to hit the 3-run homer that It didn't happen.
Right, and they just had too many of those guys, as we've been saying for months now. Too many of the same hitters, not enough guys who can just flip their bat out there and get a hit. Guys who really know how to hit. I guess in 23, the Marlins did have Luis Arraez, and he is a free agent this year. So maybe if you're looking,
and he'd be a slightly cheaper free
Luis
agent.
Arraez, he would be, because he really doesn't have a position.
Yeah,
he could play first base and he can DH, and I think he did a lot of the latter. So I'm not sure where you'd find a spot for him, but if he's your guy and you think he's going to help, hell, you go find a spot for him.
Yeah, very good. We'll do that. We'll talk about that. That's a good one to keep an eye on. More coming up. Let's review what Jeff wrote about this weekend after the press conference, some of the priorities that Skip Schumaker has as he embarks on this new venture as the Rangers manager. That's coming up next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's game time. NBA game time, to be exact. And our Mavs crew is actually in Vegas, because in Vegas on Wednesday, in a preseason tilt, the Mavs will take on none other than Luka Doncic and the Lakers. So that should be a good one. Hey, if you missed, this is a good time to get tickets for preseason games, because that game, the American Airlines Center on Saturday, man, that was a Cooper Flagg show. He only played the first half. He had 11 points. He was flying all over the court. He had like 4 rebounds and 4 assists and 3 steals. I mean, he was unbelievable. I think he's going to be, obviously, like so many of them, I think he's going to be great. So Game Time is the place to go to get those NBA tickets. Use the app, and then once you do, use the code DLLS to order your tickets, and you'll get $20 off that first purchase at Game Time.
And then this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Not a great weekend for me in the Prize Picks realm, but that's all right. I didn't lose too much. Remember, I bet $3 at a time. So anyway, Prize Picks, baseball season is not over. I was just making a bet, actually, as we were waiting to go on the air. My lineup, I did a 3-player lineup, and it's real easy. It's more or less than a certain category. So I had, will Mookie Betts have more than 1.5 total bases? That's one of the 3 on my deal. It's that easy. But it's football season, college, pro. They do both at Prize Picks, and it's a ton of fun. And again, it's 2 to 6 players. You can do it for $1 if you want. And but for this promo, download the Prize Picks apps today. Use the code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
It's always good to be right, and the Rangers feel like they made the right choice in hiring Skip Schumaker. It's kind of a choice that was thought about and essentially planned for a year ago when they other teams were interested in him after he decided not to stay in Miami, and so a lot of teams were interested. The Rangers jumped on it and paid him, stashed him away, basically let him take a year off, kind of. Not like he wasn't doing anything, but not the daily grind of baseball. And now he is the Rangers manager, which, I think, again, everybody is pretty happy with that choice. The priorities, Jeff, I think as soon as this week, and it'll be somewhat telling if it doesn't happen this week, but I think as soon as this week, it's time to, really solidify the coaching staff.
Agreed. And if for no other reason than just the common courtesy
to them
of giving the coaches peace of mind of knowing that they'll be back, or oh man, I need to go find a job.
Yep.
And time to do that, because again, I think there are now 7 openings, maybe
I think there's 8
openings,
now.
Depending, including the interims. So I mean, that's a lot.
Yes.
And so there are going to be some jobs out there. I know that these coaches are also traveling. It is their, kind of time to get away. I know Tony Beasley went to Colorado the day after the season ended so he could get his mind cleared. He said that's his happy place. So he hadn't heard from them. Last time I spoke to him, he hadn't heard from anybody. Mike Maddox I know is traveling some this week and will be in and out of town. So it may be harder to get something done this week with him, but he's talked to both Skip and CY, and so we'll see what happens. But Skip revealed to us that Luis Urieta is going to be back. Pipe is his nickname, so he's going to be back. So there's your bench coach. That's a pretty big one for the manager. The hitting coaches, I think, are the big question, really, because just the nature of their hitting coach at the end of the year. Brett Boone, a guy who was doing podcasts at the
beginning of the year,
until the Rangers hired him. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And again, the offense wasn't great this year. Obviously, it was better, and I believe that Brett is of the same mind offensively as Skip Schumaker. They were different. They were both infielders in their careers, but they played in the same era.
Yep.
And it was do what you got to do. Now, no, Skip could hit some home runs now, and he played for a team that had Edgar Martinez and Ken Griffey.
Yeah,
Jr.
you meant
Alex
Brett.
Rodriguez.
Brett could hit some home runs. Skip couldn't. Skip only had 28 in his career.
Right. Yeah, Brett had seasons with 28.
Yeah,
or and more. So, but I think there would be an alignment there. So we'll have to wait and see. That's kind of. But again, it's something that has to happen pretty quick. And and if Brett Boone doesn't want to be the hitting coach, I mean, he said he wants to coach, and if the deal can't get hammered out, I don't know that it's a huge deal. Honestly, I think that he just got kind of dropped into a tough situation and did the best with it he could, and I think the guys like him, and the offense did get better. But it doesn't feel like you're getting rid of a Tony Beasley or anybody who was on the World Series staff.
No,
honestly,
no,
so it doesn't feel like there's the tight connection there, at least with the fan base.
So he did acknowledge Skip in our sit-down interview with him when Jeff actually asked him about this specifically, just about the assistant coaching process here, and he said, there's nothing worse. I'm paraphrasing. Nothing worse in my job than having to tell those who won't be back that they won't be. He said, I am completely cognizant of the fact that they have wives and they have families and they have bills to pay.
Right.
And so he's very sensitive about that. And like anybody who has ever had to fire anybody, he hates it. So he'll be sensitive about it. And therefore, I also believe, as we've talked about, Jeff, timely, we know he had obviously, between he and CY anyway, they'd obviously made a decision about the catching coordinator, catching coach, Bobby Wilson, and they let him know immediately. And so Bobby's got plenty of time, and Bobby will find another job.
For sure.
Because he's very, very good at what he does and very personable and very fun. So,
works
but
hard.
Works really hard, and comes up with great game plans. He's like a master of framing. I mean, he's really good at the job. So, and the good news for him, he's got plenty of time to find said job.
Yeah, and so if these guys aren't coming back, they have Bobby has, I guess, a week head start on them.
Right.
It was just last week in our show. It came up during our show. So last Monday. So but I do think still, he has guys from his past, I'm sure, in mind that he would like to consider for jobs and guys he played with, not just necessarily guys he's coached with or managed with. His hitting coaches when he was in Miami were Brant Brown and John Mayberry. And he talked about John Mabry to us about how John Mabry picked Skip up at the airport on his first day in the majors, and Skip was trying to take John's job. And he talked about, that's how badly the team wanted to win. They were there for each other. If the Cardinals thought it was going to help the team win, then John Mabry was all in, even if it was the guy who wanted to take his job. So, but guys like that, and Rod Barajas is one of those guys
Yep.
who comes to mind.
He was with him.
He was with him, and Rod, like Bobby Wilson, was a catcher and out for the Rangers, all that stuff. So there seemed to be a lot of commonality and a lot of make a lot of sense. But I think what Skip said, it was either to us or during the presser, was he wants to be around the guys who he knows and can trust are going to help him deliver his message and make sure the messaging is the same to the players and trust that they're going to do that.
Yep. And so that's a priority, and that'll happen, and it'll happen sooner rather than later. The other priority, Jeff, is just sort of getting to know the player.
Yeah.
On a different, more personal level. Obviously, he was around all of them in spring training. He was around the club a little bit during the season, but he told us in the sit down he didn't want to just go in there and walk through the clubhouse and say, you need to do this, and then leave and be gone for 3 weeks, or come in. You stop doing that and leave, He wasn't going to drop those kind of bombs on guys. Plus, he knew there were great coaches already coaching, and he didn't feel like that was his role. So he doesn't know these guys as well as, frankly, not as well as he needs to.
Sure, I agree, and he was at spring training. So spring training, you do get a chance to at least talk to guys, but again, you didn't see him hanging out in the clubhouse. He was going to meetings and all of that stuff. You would see him on the field hanging out with other front office officials, but I'm sure he had a time to interact with some of these cats. But and it's tricky to do in the off season. These guys don't want to be bothered.
No, right?
They really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no other way to say it.
A long year.
It's hard to get a hold of guys in the off season, especially right after the season. Now it is the new manager, so that he probably holds a little sway there. But some of these guys he needs to go and see in person. I would suspect that he is going to go to Nashville and see Corey Seager.
Sure.
And probably drop by and say hey to Skip, or not to Skip, to Jake Berger, and just because of the relationship that they had existing. But it can be hard to do. Maybe he goes to Florida and sees DeGrom, although DeGrom is here right now. So maybe he's already prioritized the local guys, and there are a lot of them. Josh Young.
Yep. Marcus Semien,
who I probably should have said first. DeGrom, who's in town, I think, through the end of the month. Josh Smith.
Yep.
Cody Bradford. I guess Jonah Heim. I think Adolis even lives here in the offseason. So there are guys that need to be spoken to. But again, how you do it, how willing are they to get off the couch? I would think for the manager, especially if they've heard their names and trade rumors are not coming back, they may want to get on the same page with the manager.
Yeah, and this is a great day. I don't know, maybe a little surprised, not shocked, but nobody was at the press conference. Sometimes a new manager, certainly Boch did. When Boch was named, there were quite a few players. Now, everybody knew they were introducing a future Hall of Famer as the manager, but there wasn't anybody there for what it's worth,
Yeah, and I did notice that, and like you, was a little surprised. I thought maybe coming into the as I was driving up, or maybe the day before or whatever, I was thinking, you might see some players there, try to talk to them about the new guy and all this stuff. And Marcus was particularly important back in 22 because he had played for the A's against the Giants and Bochy for a number of years, and his voice was needed there. But yeah, there weren't any there, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, But I would think that he's gonna be sure very soon, if he hasn't touched base with everybody, that he has that done here in the next couple weeks, if not this week.
Yep. So that's all part of the priority process here for Skip Schumaker as he continues to, just get his feet wet in this new job as manager of the Texas Rangers. Coming up next, we will look at many of the questions that you are asking in the chat. We appreciate those. As always, we will give thoughts on your thoughts and try to answer your questions as best we can, plus some Skipisms all coming your way next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And we want you to join our supporters club. Won't you please? We've got a cool thing up there right now about our experience with the various managers here. I go all the way back to Bobby Valentine. I think for Jeff, Skip is his fifth.
Skip is my fifth.
Wash was your
manager.
first.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got some fun stories, some great musings and memories about our time with those guys. It's a pretty simple thing to do. You join that supporters club for just $15, or you can join for $5. $5 won't get you the access to the true sicko level stuff, which is the behind the scenes stuff like that we're doing. I think, did the Cowboys do one this weekend, Kat? I'm not sure. All right, Mavs are going to do one from Vegas. There's going to be stuff up there, and once we get this up and running, I think it'll be even more regular, and it won't be quite as periodic. So join that supporters club for a very cheap price, and we would really appreciate that. It's another level of you showing your support for us.
Yeah, and stay informed also by signing up for our newsletter, which you can do very, 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 very easily. You go to our homepage, alldlls.com, go all the way to the bottom, and there will be a little banner across the bottom that says, hey, sign up for our newsletter. Give us your email address. That's all we want. No credit cards, no social security numbers, no driver's license numbers, just your good old email address. And what you'll get is throughout the week, a series of thumbnails on our four major teams, breaking down what's going on. Ali on the Cowboys beat is doing that, and he's doing a wonderful job. And keeping you guys informed with links and all sorts of stuff. So if you're a diehard, you can click the links and go right to our stories. And if you're not a diehard, well, we'll tell you how to do that later.
Yeah. So let's start working backwards on some of these questions, rarities. Yes, the players have cleaned out their lockers, but as Jeff mentioned, so many of them live here in the off season, so you don't completely clear it out because you train there, right? I mean, many of them will go back to. There's no better training facility than what they have at Globe Life Field.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The one time we were allowed to tour the clubhouse beyond just where the lockers are, the fitness area,
unbelievable.
It's 2 stories.
Yep.
It's like a 24-hour fitness. It's ridiculous. And they have all the treatment you could possibly use. Trainers will be there. Strength and conditioning coaches will
tubs,
be there. Yeah, all kinds of things. And so it's a perfect place to train. Plus, you're getting eyes on you from the major league staff who are also there. So anyway, it's always a good thing. It's always a smart decision for the young player to be like, you know what, I think I'm going to stay here this offseason.
Yep.
Always goes a little bit further. It seems like
it looks good to the organization. It looks good to the manager, and it's certainly you're gonna do these things somewhere if you care about your career, which all of them do, right?
Right.
They might as well do it here. I mean, there's just no question. So that's good. Mark says the Rangers need to add at least one free agent starter, 100%. Now, there are 2 free agent starters, 3 technically, but I don't think John Gray really is a factor. But between Merrill Kelly and Tyler Malley, there's 2 right there in-house. And I think the Rangers would be very happy to figure out a way to keep Merrill Kelly around. Now, again, we think he really wants to go back to Arizona, so it may be tough. And what's he going to be, Jeff? A $12 to $15 million guy.
I was thinking about. I was definitely thinking about that today, driving in from Tarrant County, and I think it's going to be maybe 20. Judging on the market.
Wow. Okay.
He made 8 this season, but he's been really, really good.
Yeah.
And he is older, so it's not going to be like a huge. A long-term deal,
right?
But I wouldn't be surprised if it got into the low 20s with him. Now maybe he would take less to go back to Arizona. But he also said, hey, my first time being a free agent, I'm gonna
Oh,
see
yeah.
what's out there.
Oh,
And he
100%.
100% has to. And I know that I've think I've said this. Mike Maddox just was thrilled with Tyler Mahle when he was healthy,
Yeah, that's the problem.
and he would like, if he is back, he would like to have Tyler
And
Mahle back.
what's his price tag again?
Well, that's a
because of the
tough
injury
one. That's a
thing.
tricky one.
Yeah,
He made what, 16 and a half this year.
yeah.
About $1 million a start, really. So do you give him incentive laden? Would a team give him a little raise, like could he get 2 and 35 from somebody? I think that one and it hasn't just been the Tommy John plus what he dealt with this year with the shoulder. He was hurt the year before that and the year before that. He hasn't had a full season for a while now. So you really need to weigh that into an offer, and I'm sure teams will. But you do need arms, and if it's him, great. You're going to build depth, and you're going to get Cody Bradford back a lot earlier than anybody was expecting. They're thinking maybe May Cody Bradford is back. You're going to have Jake Latz, who, God dang it, he needs to be in the rotation. You'll have Kamar Rocker, who, might be Jacob Latz's, what's holding Jacob Latz back, because the Rangers badly want their 3rd overall pick from the 2022 draft to become a star major leaguer.
Sure.
He isn't there yet. Jacob Latz can pitch, all right? And I just wonder if, because Chris Young was asked in the season-ending presser about Latz specifically. He's like, well, he could do both.
Yep.
Like, well, they're not convinced then that he should be a starter, and that's wrong, because I think he showed this year that he can start, and I wouldn't mind that at all. It'd be cheap, it'd be effective, and it just makes a lot of sense. But Mahle or Kelly, just because of the familiarity and
Sure.
the fact that they are the Rangers' own free agents.
Sure, and the reality is on that Rocker front too. I know that the Rangers, while they haven't said it, are hoping that whatever happened for Jack Leiter when he was basically optioned almost to Arizona a couple of summers ago, right? They just basically shut him down, sent him out to Arizona, and I don't want to say started from scratch, but certainly worked very specifically on certain things. That's exactly what happened with Kamar Rocker this year. We saw how it worked with Jack Leiter. There's no doubt the Rangers are hoping the same thing happens with Rocker.
Yeah, and I think that's the purpose of it, and it did work for Jack. Now, I mean, it was a 2-year process.
Yes.
It happened in 23. Everybody was excited about it. And like Rocker, he made like 1 or 2 Well, I think he made more than one start. I think he made like maybe 3 or 4 starts after returning. But then Jack didn't make the roster out of spring training. He was in camp and he showed well, and then he was great at AAA. And when he came up, he wasn't so good. Now, that was his debut. Rocker's at least debuted and kind of has a feel for it. So maybe it gets extended a little or shortened a little bit, the adjustment with his new mechanics. But I gotta think that he's not going to be ready to be on the opening day roster like he was this year. And there are a ton of pitchers out there, some of them though probably will command a little bit more, like Ranger Suarez with the Phillies. Just looking at the list, Dylan Cease, who the Rangers have really, really liked for a number of years. They have no interest in Framber Valdez.
No.
Nor
do the Astros, I'm told, but we'll see. We'll see.
Exactly. But then you have guys like Zach Littell, who was in Rangers camp in 24, I believe, and just has kind of been a nice starter for the Rays here. Got traded at the deadline to the Reds. That's how good he was.
Yep.
Would you take a 1-year flyer on Justin Verlander? I don't know, but
he wants to pitch.
He pitched pretty well down the stretch.
At the end of the year,
he
said he kind of figured something out at the end. Yeah.
And then there are guys like Zach Eflin. Oh, okay. I don't know. It's you kind of get into an area there, just with the Rangers' money, where you're not going to be going after the top guys on the market.
No.
But there isn't a Max Fried,
No.
And then also, the Rangers always look internationally, so you need to keep an eye on some of these potential postings from Japan. Anyway, and those are usually affordable. There's not going to be a Yamamoto or a Sasaki this year, as far as I can tell. So it's something definitely to comb through here, and we have a few weeks, thankfully, to do that. Do a little free agency preview here after the World Series,
100%.
But right now, I gotta start doing the review and kind of looking back and how to spin it forward.
Yeah, Kelly Mann saying money on the pen. Rangers rarely do it. Yeah, and that's a really good point. And somebody else asked earlier about the arms that are in the minors that could become bullpen arms for the Rangers. And certainly, it appears that if not this year, Jeff, for the longer term future, the really good arm of Teodo appears to be one of those that's headed towards the bullpen, a bullpen role, a bullpen career.
I think so. He dealt with some injuries this year after a great spring. Nothing, no surgeries or anything. Just kind of a weird. I think he had some fatigue, arm fatigue early in the year, and then a little back deal that there was no structural damage, so they couldn't really figure that one out. So it was just rest. And these guys were all pitching at the end of the year. We saw Corniel make his debut for the Rangers. Winston Santos, who dealt with a back thing, he needs more time in the minors. We can't forget about Mark Church. He made the opening day roster this year. And it's 98, 99 with a split and a slider. It's really good. So keep an eye on Mark Church.
He's a pen guy.
He's bullpen all the way. Yeah. I think Corniel and Santos are looked at right now as starting pitchers. You still have like Robbie Alstrom, who really made a nice impression in spring training, a left-hander. Maybe if Hobie Milner isn't re-signed, maybe Alstrom is that guy. He can throw harder, a lot harder than Hobie, but it's different angles, and it's kind of he goes after guys. He doesn't give two flips about him. He wants the ball and wants to get guys out, and I know that Bruce Bochy loved it. Mike Maddox loved it. So if Maddox is back, then that's a guy to keep an eye on who's in this.
Yeah, and it's a great point that if Maddox is back is a big one because when you were talking about just some of those free agent guys, I'm thinking, gosh, I think Maddox could really do well with him, right? And we really think Mike's going to be. Jeff said he's talked to both Skip and to CY, and he feels pretty good that they're going to work something out. But until it's done, it's not done.
Right.
But I really do think that he is, and they do too. I mean, Skip said to us in our interview the other day, he's one of the best pitching coaches ever in baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Or I don't know if he said ever, but he certainly said in baseball. He said
baseball history.
Yeah, he thought he did in baseball history. So that's how good, that's how they think of him. And that is what he is. And he gets the best out of guys. So I think that, that is a big factor in considering who it might be that they can get as a free agent without breaking the bank, right?
Yeah.
They've done that in the past. They got Jacob deGrom. They don't want to go that route. They just want to get those guys that support him at a much more reasonable cost.
Yeah, I continue to look at my screen here. Merrill Kelly is 37.
Yeah, he's getting up.
He's older than Patrick Corbin.
Yep.
Zach Gallen is another guy who's probably at the top of the market that the Rangers might not be able to get their hands on.
Yeah.
He had a good second half, not a great walk year overall. So we just kind of have to sit back and wait. We were all surprised though that they took the swing at Fried that they did. So maybe they have that in their back pocket. I don't know, but one way to help out the rotation is through a great bullpen. And signing some big multi-inning arms and closer, putting more of your resources there. While it would be a huge change for this franchise, it does make some sense.
Yep, it certainly does, and it's Bad on us. Shame on us for not mentioning Patrick Corbin, too. After the surprise year he had for $1 million for the Rangers. That's definitely someone they should and will consider, but he's going to make a heck of a lot more than $1 million next year. So anyway, we didn't get to the skip-isms, but we got a long offseason. We'll get to them. Coming up next, it's our cleanup segment. Lots to talk about there. And yes, there was another manager who retired today. We'll tell you who next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, we want you to become a diehard, if you would, please. It's the best way for you to stay connected to your teams. No other, entity in the market has a beat writer, a full-time beat writer on all 4 of the major teams. That includes the Dallas newspaper. They don't have a full-time Stars beat writer. We do, and we've got people all over that beat. We've got people all over the Mavericks beat. We have a new full-time Mavs beat writer, Ron. What's Ron's last name? You know Ron? No, Ron's can't come to us from the Dallas newspaper, so we're very happy to have Ron.
Ron Harrod Jr.
Harrod, that's it, Ron Harrod Jr. Thank you. And anyway, then Jeff for the Rangers, obviously, and then we've got Ali and Clarence Hill for the Dallas Cowboys. Great coverage. It's our coverage. It's your coverage. You can get it for a cheap price if you become a diehard today.
Yeah, and you get a free shirt. You missed our sale. First of all, our sale ended yesterday for the hat, but still at like John said, at our price, that price includes free T-shirt, and you find those at store.allcitynetwork.com. There's the Dallas collection. John owns a couple of those. I own one of them. We're rocking some of the originals today. The Texas Chew shirt I'm wearing, I think, probably the best shirt overall. I really think it is.
Yeah, I just got it too, and I'm gonna have to. I'm glad I didn't wear it today. But
yeah, well,
I can wear it tomorrow.
I considered the horseshoe today. That's the DLS, one of our go-tos, just to represent the whole outlet instead of a specific sport. But anyway, it's store.allcitynetwork.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, beer mugs, hats coming. Store.allcitynetwork.com.
T.O., right on it, knows more about this thing than we do. We appreciate you, T.O. He had Herod before we did, so good. Thank you, T.O. All right, so it's Mike Schilt, the Padres manager, who is retiring. Sure enough, retiring. Sometimes you wonder, really retiring? And again, we wondered with the mutual decision by the Rangers and Bruce Bochy, and ultimately we've kind of determined wasn't that mutual. It wasn't that mutual at all.
Yeah,
it's our belief, and in fact, along those lines, the list of names from I think it was Nightingale had a list of potential replacements, and Boch is on the list for the Padres. We personally believe if Boch manages next year, the Nationals and the Orioles might have more say because those cities are a lot closer to Nashville, where his home is. I don't know that, but you said he has what?
His daughter lives in a daughter and one grandchild lives near San Diego, if not San Diego proper. So there might be a more of a desire to go there. But I think that that Padres job is really attractive.
It is.
I mean,
and yet it's not, because you have the Dodgers in your division and the Giants.
The Braves job is a good one. Orioles job's a good one. A lot of people are saying the Twins job's a good one, and I don't see that with the directionless ownership.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mess with the Twins. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he took them to the playoffs the last couple of years. Schilt did. So
yeah.
And
Boch was there. Let's not forget that too.
Yeah,
that'd be another homecoming.
The only I think it's the only time the Padres have appeared in the World Series. Their manager was.
Oh no, they were in '84 too.
Oh yeah, the second time.
Yeah,
they haven't won the most recent trip to the World Series.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that. That's what's happening in San Diego. They got an opening as of today to take the total to 8. Rob Thompson, it appears, will be back in Philadelphia. There was lots of talk after the Phillies were kind of a disappointment. They were one of the best teams in baseball throughout the year.
Yeah.
And kind of a disappointment in the playoffs. And there was a lot of a lot of people wondering if maybe he would be done there. But they're having their year-ender press conference tomorrow, and he's scheduled to be there. So I say he's back. The speculation from Philadelphia is if he's going to be there, that means he's going forward, and I guess that means with a new contract.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, the Zach Wheeler thing kind of took the starch out of their sales, I thought. But anyway, yeah. That one's a little. I mean, he's been pretty good, so it's not entirely surprising, but falling short of expectations.
100%,
especially with all the moves they made at the deadline, getting Durant. That was a big one.
Huge.
So you wonder sometimes who's going to take the brunt of that one.
Yeah, it's a good question. They did have. I mean, they were facing the defending World Series champions in their playoff round, so it's tough. It's not easy to beat them. We'll see if the Brewers are able to do it. That game on Friday night that went 15 innings, the longest deciding do or die game in the history of the game. So either a game 3 or a game 5 or a game 7, depending on the length of the series. This is the longest one in history. 15 innings. It was unbelievable. I got just really fired up on Saturday when I'd see people who were out there. And again, this is the thing about social media. There's just people out there who talk to talk, but they're just out there going, I didn't see a classic game. I saw two teams that can't hit. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. I mean, did you see a team that can't hit in the Don Larson perfect game? No, you saw a perfect game, right? I mean, and this was pitchers coming in a situation that was this bizarro almost, right? I mean, it was bizarre that Bizzardo comes in as a minor league guy, and he gets out of a bases-loaded jam. He pitched his butt off. It was great pitching on both sides. It was high drama. It was fantastic. Well, not action, but drama. And there was lots of action, actually. There was bases loaded.
Sure.
There was first and second with one out, or maybe no out. I mean, there was a lot going on. It just everybody, came through most often when they needed to, and then Jorge Polanco delivers in the end.
Yeah, and Polanco, who is the fella who hit the home runs against Skubal, game 2, right?
Yeah.
He did really well against Jacob deGrom this season too. Starting in spring training, he took deGrom deep, and somebody mentioned Polanco as a potential guy for the Rangers. I think it's a player. He has an option. I don't know if it's club or player, but if it's club, I'd be shocked if they didn't take him, the Mariners. And if it's player, well, you never know. Do you want to risk it?
Right.
Put your part-time resume out there and see what you can do. So that's an interesting one too. And then the Adley Rutschman talk I've seen a couple times. T.O. brought it up. Work out a deal for them. I liked his idea, T.O.'s idea of Josh Young.
Yeah.
Change of scenery type of situation. Though, Rutschman was hurt. Now, I don't know if his feelings are hurt because Basillo got the 8-year extension as a guy who had never been in the majors. Maybe I don't know, but 3 years of club control with Rutschman, 3 years with Young. What does that look like? Because the Orioles had been waiting for some help at third base from Mayo, but I'm not sure that's happening. He seems a little bit 4A-ish right now. Something needs to click for him, but I don't know. I think that they should maybe give it a shot. At least call. At least make a phone call.
Yeah, try to see if you could work something out. Of course, the other side of that coin is that there may be a belief, or maybe certainly Skip probably believes, I can connect, right? I can connect with Josh Young and get the most out of him. I mean, it's shocking, really, to me that a guy under control who we thought was just going to be all that is now in a situation where we would entertain that idea. And I would think that any manager worth his salt would say, you're not. We're going to get the most out of him. We're going to make him right. But who knows? I mean, he may never get the chance to, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's that. That game last night was unbelievable for the game one of the ALCS. Unbelievable to me that the Mariners were able to win it after the 15-inning game, after a huge celebration culminating after the 15-inning game, and then after flying across, however many time zones. I guess they're all the way in the East now, so they flew across 3 time zones. Crazy to have come through as they did last night. And Bryce Miller, I mean, this kid, their pitching staff isn't good enough.
Right.
This in the playoffs, this kid's looking fantastic.
Well, the first inning through 28 pitches, first pitch of the game, he throws, gets hit out for a home run. There's some concern. 28 pitches in the first.
Sure.
Then I don't think they went over 15 in an inning the rest of the game.
They threw 100 for the game.
Yeah, that's
staggering. There were 6 different innings where they threw 8 pitches or less. 6, and we know the first they threw 28, right? 6 innings where they threw 8 or less pitches, and that's how you stay under 100, which they really needed to after they threw, I think, 225 or something on Friday night.
Right. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better scenario, and now, not all the relievers were out there huffing and puffing at 60 or 70 pitches the other night.
No.
They just need a day off usually to get reset, which they had before the start of the series. But I do wonder if maybe it catches up to them a little bit today. The adrenaline's worn off. Maybe they got the one win. All right, did what we needed to do. But I hope, I don't know what I hope. I feel like I kind of want the Mariners. And then it's kind of like, the Blue Jays, they really hit the ball so well. But I don't think the Blue Jays have the pitching. If I'm thinking, well, who do I want to win the series? If the Dodgers beat the Brewers, do I want the Dodgers to win the World Series? The answer is no. So no. I would probably say, well, who's the best matchup for the Dodgers? I think it would be the Mariners.
Yeah. Although the last series of the season would probably beg to do, but again, the Mariners were setting things up at that point.
Right.
So, and I agree with you, T.O. I would love to see a Mariners-Brewers World Series to have one of those. I mean, for the Mariners, it's going to be the first time they make the World Series if they're able to do it. And for the Brewers, it would be one of those 2 teams would win their first. So I think that'd be really fun just to see that. The Brewers, of course, had that game 5 of their own on Saturday against the Cubs, and afterwards, they got the victory at home against the Cubs. And afterwards, Pat Murphy said all year, he said this is how he kicked off the celebration in the clubhouse. He said all year everybody's been saying we're just a bunch of average Joes. He says now we have become the not so frickin' average Joes. And he pops open a cork on the champagne. And he said frickin'. I think he knew that,
he knew cameras were on.
The TBS cameras were rolling, or whoever had that game. So he said frickin'. But anyway, he's such an endearing guy. He also asks all of the media that asks a question to introduce themselves. He wants to get to know them. And he asks them to stand up and do so. And so now there's all this Japanese media covering because of the Dodgers, and he asks each one of them, stand up and introduce yourself. And I think it comes from a good place, right? It's not like he's trying to chide them or get under their skin. He wants to know them.
Sure, I believe it. And T.O., thanks for correcting your grammar. I appreciate that. Really appreciate it. What did he put? Well, he had apostrophe after it's.
Oh,
and then he corrected it, and I really appreciate that.
I see it. That's beautiful.
I'll delete tweets if it has incorrect grammar.
Incorrect grammar, will you?
Oh, yeah. I can't stand it.
He's a grammarian. He's our resident grammarian. So anyway, there was more we could have gotten to, and I'm glad we didn't, because that means we were having fun with you. We always do. We appreciate you hanging out with us so much. We're here every day this week, now Tuesday through Friday, 1 o'clock We'll be here talking Rangers, letting you know what's happening with the assistant coaches and any other moves this team makes, as well as what's going on in the world of baseball. It's all this week, all at 1 o'clock on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.